Capital of the city,
Crypto pets.
Traditionally, people have always felt that physical goods are rare and then digital goods are expendable.
Yes.
That's not true anymore. Just like the Mona Lisa, you can go to IKEA and get a copy of the Mona Lisa. That's not the Mona Lisa. These NFTs can be taken to different mediums. There's different communities around them. I just ran into a company that they focus fully on making digital furniture for metaverse spaces.
That's insane. It's difficult to pinpoint the moment the art world ceased to be associated with deprivation, a starving artist, and replaced by images of profligate billionaires paying outrageous sums for outrageous art.
At $77,500,000. Sold to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Perceptions may have changed, but over time, the economics of the art world have pretty much stayed the same. A more extreme version of regular old American economic inequality. The winners are few, but their winnings are getting bigger than ever. With only 10% of art school graduates making their living from art, the economic calculation is unavoidable. For the rich, art is a sound investment. For the artist, an art school degree isn't. So is it possible to spread the wealth of the $100 billion a year global art market to a broader pool of artists and collectors?
Left, please. Far left-hand side of it, please.
To do an end run around the phalanx of professional art world gatekeepers? In March 2021, an art world outsider from Wisconsin allied with one of those traditional gatekeepers, Christie's Auction House, to upend the traditional art market.
Jesus Christ, what the
Oh my God!
Selling a piece of digital art for an eye-watering $69 million for a JPEG.
69 million? I think it probably means digital art is here to stay.
And the winning bidder, the cryptocurrency billionaire, had never even set foot in an art gallery. And while digital art skeptics see a fad, another overhyped art world bubble, Kenny Schachter sees an opportunity.
I wish I knew what it was. Welcome to my life.
A longtime art world habitué, Schachter is an artist, art critic, and art dealer who revels in annoying the art world cognoscenti.
Oh, they're tiles for my kitchen.
Schachter lives in a 5-story townhouse on Manhattan's Upper East Side that doubles as a sort of art hoarder's gallery.
This artist's name is Zabolks Bozo. I bought 2 paintings less than a year ago for $11,000, and now you could probably resell one for $100,000.
Physical space might be in short supply, but that's no matter to Schachter, who these days mostly inhabits the world of digital art.
The negative perceptions of the art world, that it is especially prone to fraud, to con men, to like inflated prices. Is that true or not?
No.
It's not.
Next question, just kidding.
Yeah.
It used to be that prices were manipulated on the downside. Let's say everyone in this room wanted to buy this one painting.
Yeah.
Rather than us having a legitimate auction and the highest bidder wins, we would conspire beforehand that one of us would buy the painting for the lowest possible amount, and then we would just negotiate amongst ourselves to who would be the ultimate owner of the painting. So nowadays, you have the opposite.
You keep saying no, but bids keep coming.
It's not uncommon for like somebody to own, let's say 25 or 300 paintings by the same artist, and they would manipulate the price in a public auction by driving the price up through surreptitious bidding, and that would create this public perception of a market higher than it would ordinarily be. And in that case, then you have this, if a painting is $5,000, nobody's interested. When it's $50,000, people will start to talk about it, and when it's a $500,000, everybody wants one. There was a brief moment starting from like basically 2011 to 2014, it became to be known as zombie formalism, in the sense that the work seemed kind of generic, easy on the eye, and the market shot up. There was one young artist, Lucian Smith, his name is, and he became the poster child for this kind of market speculation and market movement.
The first work of mine that was ever purchased at auction, retailed at $10,000, so I got $5,000. But basically 3 years later, that painting sold for $439,000 US.
How much did you get from that?
Nothing. That moment right there was probably the most important moment in my career and in my life.
When in 2010, Lucian Smith was anointed the next very important artist, his sales boomed, the critics sneered, and prices skyrocketed. The usual art world pattern. Lots of people were getting rich, except for Lucian Smith.
To put it in perspective, every dollar that has ever been spent on your work, primary, secondary market, etc., what percentage of that money do you think went into your pocket?
Probably like 10%.
10%?
Yeah, I mean, on primary sales, 50%, but if you look at all the secondary sales, if you factor that in, yeah, it's not a lot.
So the work that you created, 90%, give or take,
of the wealth
created is going to somebody else's pocket.
Yeah, definitely. And that shouldn't be the case. I had shitty dealers who, decided to keep the primary price at $10,000 while people were just going over there buying those paintings and selling them next day for $300K,
Wait, they knew that it was happening and they were still keeping the price low?
Yeah, it's just like...
Why?
It's a system that's so old that there are all these sort of inefficiencies going on.
What I most love about NFTs are that, as far as I'm concerned, it's the closest thing I've seen to a commercial revolution in the model which art is seen, bought, sold, experienced.
That revolutionary acronym, NFT, a non-fungible token, functions as a digital certificate of ownership, what the art world calls provenance, that cannot be faked or tampered with. So others might download a copy of Beeple's $69 million JPEG, but only the buyer owns it. That ownership is encoded onto the blockchain, essentially an immutable online ledger. So someone can download a JPEG of your artwork, but it's as real as a Matisse mass-produced in a Chinese factory. You only own it when an NFT says you do. It's impossible to tell just how big the NFT market has become, but conservative estimates put it in the hundreds of billions of dollars. And as the dollar figures grow bigger, the voices of NFT skeptics grow louder. Most deploy an old argument adapted to a new technology. We're witnessing a bubble, and besides, most of the work is of low quality and dubious artistic merit, with prices fueled by Philistine speculators. In other words, the crypto plebs saying "f*** you" to the gatekeepers. It's what provoked Kenny Schachter to produce his own NFTs.
I sold 9,000 individual NFTs in an hour less than 2 weeks ago, which my life has not been the same for a day.
Is there a kind of democratizing element to NFTs? I mean, you're selling stuff $60, $80.
And what I say about NFTs nothing. It's a contract. It's a smart contract piggybacking on an Ethereum cryptocurrency. But NFT-ism, which I happen to trademark, NFT-ism is this community. I mean, art dealers control access to who gets to buy art of an artist that is in demand in the marketplace. With NFTs and things of that nature, the power is shifting in real time away from the dealers that control access to coveted artists. They have their own world, like Beeple. He sold an NFT for $69 million. Is his thing worth $69 million? Would that fetch $69 million today? I doubt it. I just doubt it. What happened, I mean, what I love about Beeple is it was like a anvil fell on the heads of the arrogant in the art world. When they saw $69 million, it was like, ka-ching, their eyes started spinning around. And then all of a sudden, that's the only way to get to the art world.
A strange new respect.
Money, 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 money.
Money, money, money. Money, money, money. Money, money, money. Money, money, money. I'm so sick and tired of the NFT divide. Just you wait for the shifting tide.
Even as an artist, like who has some sort of success or like audience, like you saw me here, like working on Illustrator. Like I'm so baffled and so like excited about the opportunities it creates. Like I can literally sit here right now and create an NFT project. I don't need to ask my gallery. I don't need to do, I just hit upload.
What about blockchain makes all of this easier?
You set your terms and that's it. You know, its money is transferred digitally and it lives by the same rules on those sales transactions. So smart contract or royalties or resale rights, whatever you want to call them, are very easy to set up. And I think there's so much work that sits out there, you know, in the world that we don't know about. The stuff that we see on the secondary market, the stuff that we see on primary, it's just like a percentage of the amount of art that's sitting inactive.
Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking about the kids, you know, that live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, that are never gonna go to a Lower East Side gallery opening. I wanna get them the tools to be able to share their work.
2 years ago, there was zero market in NFTs. In August, OpenSea, the biggest marketplace platform for the buying and selling of NFTs, did $3.5 billion in a month. Before that, it was $2.5 billion for the whole quarter across the whole.
So at that rate,
at that rate, I would say in 3 to 5 years, it should perhaps surpass the entire commercial art market.
Money changes everything. The art world that once sneered at NFTs has sacrificed its pretension for remuneration. After significant internal resistance, both Christie's and Sotheby's, the powerful auction house duopoly, have started their own NFT-specific divisions. And the NFT world is invading traditional art world spaces, selling digital art in physical Manhattan galleries.
So the average person walking down the street with some, basic political knowledge, walks by this place, does a double take, and walks in and says, is this some sort of Trump exhibit?
Eventually, the alt-right did take Pepe as their own, but Pepe is just a meme. Anybody can give their own interpretation to it. The Free Hong Kong movement also adopted Pepe and made it their kind of representative. And there's a bunch of NFT enthusiasts that are realizing that rare Pepes are one of the most original and unique collections in the NFT ecosystem. And one of the first that kind of set the tone for everything.
These physical Pepes are not important.
Yeah, they're based on the digital artworks.
The digital artwork is more important than the physical artwork.
The digital artwork is what has the real value. That's what people can actually show that they own through cryptography. And you can prove that it's authentic. And you can trade it, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not composed of atoms, it's just bits. It can flow through the internet seamlessly.
If I had told you 10 years ago there would be a frog, that people would make images, digital images, and you would be making a lot of money selling the digital image of the frog.
Oh yeah, no, all of this I would think you're absolutely crazy for telling me.
I mean, you'd
I would
call
never
the police
believe
on me, I think, right? Were you in the art world in a different capacity prior to this?
No, not at all.
No, so
I got into art through Bitcoin. We have very little overlap with the traditional art world.
Do you pay attention to them?
Yeah, we pay attention. Actually, Sotheby's did some rare Pepe auctions just last week.
How did it go?
About 4 million in total sales.
Wow.
The promise, excitement, and absurdity of this bizarro version of the art world was on display at NFT NYC, a socially awkward combination of TechCrunch, Burning Man, and a vaping convention. There was something cultish about it all, an endless parade of wild-eyed utopians promising to show me the light and make me rich.
The new age of multi-dimensional NFTs. NFTs that live and breathe before you.
And the assembled nerds were intergenerational, like the famously analog-obsessed Quentin Tarantino who wandered into the digital era, wondering how this trendy acronym could make him millions of dollars just for cleaning out his closet.
I've got the original Pulp Fiction screenplay written in my hand. We digitized the original pages, and it's going to be a secret NFT.
And there were plenty of millionaires and a smattering of billionaires circulating. Where there is money, there's circling vultures. But it all somehow felt more democratic, and certainly less pretentious and class-riven than the traditional art world.
You see, there's the other layer that's behind there.
Yeah.
That's this one over here.
What drug addict designed this? This is not how all NFTs are made, right?
Anne Bracegirdle is one of the few refugees from the traditional art world I met at NFT NYC. A former associate vice president and specialist in Christie's photographs department, Bracegirdle is now curating art in the metaverse.
Right now, you see a piece sell at an auction for $20,000. You see that piece hanging 6 months later in an art fair for $80,000. How are you, as a potential buyer, supposed to reconcile that and understand what you're paying for and where the value is created?
Blockchain could tell you that.
Blockchain can tell you that, obviously.
Because it's a trust mechanism.
It will literally say, okay, here is the digital ID that proves that these are the only 10 pieces that exist. If the artist creates another edition on the side, that will be instantly flagged within a blockchain community, and so you'll have instant access to the additions. And if you think of people within the industry, institutions using the same blockchain, you can imagine a world where the fine art that's being traded would move seamlessly on this one blockchain and provide access to the provenance, the value, and that to me would provide so much more access to people who don't understand how to engage with the industry.
One can't help but sympathize with skeptical members of the gatekeeper class when billions of dollars are expended on the ownership of often incoherent, frequently unfunny memes. In mingling amongst the NFT evangelists, I met art critic and NFT skeptic Ben Davis.
The word you're going to hear most here is democratization, right?
Right. Bullshit.
Bullshit?
Bullshit. The economy will only be, as long as there are extremes of rich and poor, as long as we don't do anything about that, democratization stuff is that's just hype. That's just hype. And people will say, finally, we have a way to get artists paid. Finally, we have a way to get digital artists paid. And that just gets digital artists to the zero place where every painter was. Every painter, no matter who they were, could sell their painting. The problem for most is that there is no market for it. Everybody talks about getting rid of the middleman, the intermediary. Yeah. What do people think middleman, art critics, galleries, what do you think they do? They help promote people in a crowded space. They provide a lens with which...
They call you gatekeepers.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there's
which
a lot
is a pejorative, right? I mean, it's not like a helpful thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
You're filtering stuff for us. They're like, these people are gatekeepers. They're keeping us out.
Well, what if I called gatekeepers experts? And people, I think, they have two things in their mind. On the one hand, they're just like, this is the new special way for people to monetize things that couldn't be monetized anymore. And that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But like I said, people could always get money for being popular. People could always get money to sell things. There's a new thing to sell, but the problem that most people have is not that they can't sell it, it's that they have nobody who wants it. And when you take out the middle, the Gagosians and the Hauser and Wirths, the top galleries, they're bigger than ever. It's those little people who give people their first start that goes away. And what you're left with is a layer of celebrities, corporations, and influencers who are the gatekeepers of art. And what we've really been seeing in the last 5 years or so is seeing how that has affected the art world already. It's the tyranny of options. If you have unlimited choices, then a new category of gatekeeper arises. Yes. That is the people who help you guide the average person make a decision amidst all that chaos and crowds. In the internet space, anybody can publish, but Google, Facebook, and so on became more powerful gatekeepers than the old media companies ever been. And I have not heard anybody say anything this weekend that explains to me how this kind of technology is going to prevent the same kind of dynamics.
If you want to bid, please come to the front right now. Don't be afraid. And I'm going to go 4,800. Anyone want to bid 48?
So it's the end of the NFT conference, and right now there's an auction going on, and what we're hearing people auction like it's a cattle auction is a picture of a frog holding a bag of shit.
49?
And it's at $4,900 right now.
This is the rare Pepe Nakamoto, the first rare Pepe. Starting bid at 500,000. Anyone going to bid 500,000 on this? Anything spenders now. Talk all the shit. Ain't gonna bid now. Anyone talk to the game? Who's going to bid now? You want to bid 500,000? 69. 500,000 now. So, congratulations.
The auction attendee who bought the rare Pepe for $500,000 is known as Meta Kovan, real name Vignesh Sundarisan. For Sundarisan, it was an unremarkable transaction. Nothing compared to the $69 million he spent on a Beeple JPEG.
Explain to people who might be confused as why a very smart, sensible man like yourself would spend $500,000 on a JPEG.
I can have it forever because it's on the blockchain and I don't lose it. It does not go bad or anything, right?
So the goal is not to sell it. Possibly.
Are you the guy?
I'm not going to sell it.
Are you the guy that bought it?
Yeah.
For 500K?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Kevin.
That must happen a lot, right?
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
That happens a lot. Thank you, man. That happens a lot.
But even people here who live in this universe come up to you and say, Holy
I
shit.
think these are all, like there is a mix of people, right?
Yeah.
I feel like there are a lot of people who are new to the industry and they're also trying to make sense of it, right? But there are people who have been in the industry for a while, right? Like for them it'll be obvious.
When the Beeple sale happened, everyone in the world looked up and said, what is this?
Yeah.
Was that kind of an idea behind it? I mean...
No, like I would say, you know, that happened as a consequence.
Yeah.
And I'm, like now the world is different, right? Like so we live in that world now. But when that happened, that was not the intention, right? Like, I knew it was an interesting, important moment in art history. But I think it's a great thing because if it was an average buy, then it would have been a, you know, just a costly painting or a costly piece of NFT that I bought. But I think because of the consequence now, you know, the post-purchase story also now goes back and sits into that NFT. So I think that NFT is much more valuable now.
What does that mean to you to actually have made the most consequential purchase in the history of art, according to some people?
What I believe is that we are all living under a hegemony, a cultural hegemony, right? And what it allows me to do, or allows the world to do now, is for various cultures, you know, to just come up. You know, there's going to be so much native cultural exports from every part of the world, which could have never been sold in America before, right? Like, if you want to place something in a museum here, there is a network, and I think the old system also is going to embrace it, right? So NFTs, I think, are going to really create something great. And as you told me, even though I feel like I was at that moment of that consequential purchase, I think it's the people who are taking that moment forward, and I'm very happy to be part of it.
It was odd to hear Sundaresan, who had never set foot in an art gallery prior to purchasing the Beeple, and who admits to knowing little about art history, casually talk of changing the course of art history.
So, congratulations, 3,000. Handle up, sir.
Odder still for a billionaire to deploy a traditionally Marxist phrase like cultural hegemony when explaining his desire to break the elitist hammerlock on the art world. But ignore the jargon, because the simple concept that obscures, while counterintuitive, makes a certain amount of sense. Maybe it took the inaccessible Beeple sale price to signal that the art world is now a bit more accessible to ordinary artists and collectors, those who exist outside the walled garden and who previously had zero chance of ever gaining entry. It's not the sky-high sale price that's interesting, which to Sundaresan was useful in getting people to pay attention to NFTs, but for the NFT itself, as a mechanism for selling art, for doing an end run around the gatekeepers.
$51 million, last chance, and selling.
For cutting out the middlemen and grifters, for marginalizing the gallerists, agents, auction houses, and critics. None of those people are going anywhere anytime soon. But this ragtag movement of nouveau riche crypto nerds and amateur art enthusiasts has already laid siege to the art world and broken up their cultural monopoly and made a lot of previously poor artists very, very rich.
I'm Michael Learmonth, editor-in-chief of Vice News. Too often, traditional news outlets shy away from the real stories and experiences of those living through global conflicts. Not Vice News. Our reporters are on the ground, fearlessly covering the human stories that shape our world. You and millions of others can continue to read, watch, and listen to Vice News for free. But we hope you'll consider making a one-time or ongoing contribution of any size at vice.com/contribute. Every contribution, no matter how big or small, helps support the journalism Vice News brings to you every day. Thank you.